South Kazakhstan State Pedagogical University, Module Nature and Ecology Problems, Theme Predicting Weather, Lesson 3. The lesson is conducted by senior teacher Baryssova N. Aims of the lesson: educational aims to enlarge the student scope, to teach students to cooperate, to teach students to respect others' opinion, aims to form reading skills and to form lexical skills, subsidiary aims to develop speaking skills. Read and translate the text predicting weather. Now listen to me very attentively, please. Try to understand copy out the new words. Predicting weather is extremely important for agriculture and industry, for aviation and tourism. Good observation of the weather depends on the instrument we have at our disposal. Now computer devices are largely used in meteorology. They are used to state temperature, humidity, pressure, wind force and its direction. There are also sensitive instruments to measure the height of clouds. Computers read all this information and carry out calculation to draw synoptic maps and weather forecast maps. In every country there are special institutions dealing with the weather forecast. In Great Britain it is the Meteorological Office in London. In the USA it is the USA Weather Bureau in Washington. In Poland it is the State Hydrometeorological Institute in Warsaw. In Russia it is Hydromet Center in Moscow. Despite the instruments, satellites and computers we have, it is still difficult to forecast the weather even though the forecast instruments are more and more precise. Useful words and word combinations from this text. Pressure is measured in milliards. Good forecasts depend a great deal on good instruments. Physical conditions of the atmosphere. Low areas of low pressure. Look at this picture, please. Describe this picture, please. Answer for this question. The weather in England is very changeable, isn't it? What do Englishmen often say to describe the weather of their country? Englishmen often talk about the weather. Do you find this topic of conversation interesting? What is the best time of the year in England? What are London's smokes? Please answer for this question in written form. Next text for information. What is global warming? Global warming, also known as climate change, is caused by a blanket of pollution that traps heat around the Earth. This pollution comes from cars, factories, homes, and power plants that burn fossil fuels such as oil, coal, natural gas, and gasoline. Global warming pollution knows no boundaries. It enters the atmosphere, spreads across the globe, and traps heat around the Earth for 50 to 100 years after it is emitted. That is why we need to reduce global warming pollution now, because our children and their children will still feel the effects of global warming for years to come. Currently, the levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are at their highest levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Text for discussion. How pollution influences the weekend weather. The effects of weekday emission differ from country to country. Researchers have pinned down how pollution is changing the weather at weekends in some of the countries in Europe. Spain's winter weekends, for example, are sunnier, but islands are wetter. It has been known for years that man-made pollution affects weather patterns, but in the first severe weekly weather cycles to cover Western Europe, researchers have found that pollution seems to be giving the Spanish milder winter weekends. But there is a sting in the tail. Summer weekends are correspondingly colder and wetter. Scientists think that the patterns are caused by changes in the amount of particulate air pollution that build up over the week thanks to traffic and industrial activity. Indeed, weekly cycles in weather have been reported for several areas. Parts of the United States have less rainfall on weekends, while Germany gets more rain at the end of the week. The pollution also tends to give the United Kingdom and Western France drier, cloudless weekends in winter, whereas Ireland and Greenland are also experiencing wetter, winter weekends. Text for reading and translation. Unknown mechanism. Arturo Sanchez Lawrence, a climatologist at the University of Barcelona in Spain, and his colleagues studied 44 years of climate data from 13 weather stations across rural and urban areas of Spain and extended their research by surveying sea level pressures for Western Europe. The study appears in Geographical Research Letters. The emission of smoke and gases has been known to affect rainfall since the 1920s. Airborne pollution particles can seed raindrop formation, but it can also change how rain clouds develop, potentially delaying rainfall to create future summer storms, as has been in the United States. This complicated interaction means that scientists are unsure exactly how the cycle develops. We suggest that these weekly cycles are related to changes in atmospheric circulation over Western Europe, maybe due to some indirect effect and interaction of aerosols with atmospheric dynamics, says Sanchez Lawrence. David Parker of the UK Meteorological Office in Exeter agrees that the anthropogenic emissions of aerosol particles through their impacts on cloud dynamics can affect the amount of solar radiation reaching Earth's surface and therefore atmospheric circulation. But he says more detailed experiments on the effect of weakly varying aerosols on weather and climate are needed to confirm this mechanism. Your home task, text for retelling, English weather. This text is very easy for retelling. Please read, translate, and retell this text. Copy out the new words. How do we treat our planet? Pollute the air, destroy wildlife, spoil the water, pollute the soil. Ecology of the world in our hands.